Hello, I'm Demetra Jackson Varner with In the Nick of Time Entertainment, and you're watching Ruby Lou TV. Today we're here to talk about brand management. The first segment is going to cover networking.
So, what is actual networking?
Well, networking is when a group of individuals, entrepreneurs, or small businesses get together and they try to come up with business opportunities by pulling resources together so that they can elevate each other as either a collaborative effort or individual efforts.
And what would you say, what advice would you give to an artist or a person trying to get out there? What advice would you give to them for networking purposes?
Well, I would first say that they need to ensure that they have a brand. And what I mean by a brand is that their package is, well put together, their business portfolios. If they're doing music, they have a solid, you know, some solid material to listen to, things like that. And they need to be able to then appropriately introduce themselves and meet with people that can help build on the foundation that they've already created and try to move them through to the next pipeline, whether it's getting more people to listen to their music or possible paid gigs or even a record deal, or a business would be kind of like the same concept, but of course more customers, more paying customers, that is. And then an overall bigger, whether it's a storefront or a larger internet base, that would be what they would use for when coming together for networking.
Okay, so what kind of opportunity would you say for networking, like as far as like places, like what do you suggest a person should go for networking? Which should be the outcome of like an event that they go to for networking?
I think a positive networking event would be roughly about 2 or 3 hours, where your first step would be bringing individuals in the room that actually have a solid foundation themselves, or have a brand, and then you would look at having everyone bring material that they can utilize, whether it's business cards or some type of product, or a sample of what it is that they offer. And then there should always be at least a 45-minute down period where maybe it's not centered around partying, or well, I won't say the turn up, but the large noise, but where people can actually engage in conversation and do things like swap numbers, schedule meetings, have some writing utensils and things like that out, so that people can possibly take notes. Again, you just never know, like what the wealth of knowledge, or even funding that can be in a room, until you actually are in a position to move around and engage with people.
Okay, so I notice a lot of people that go to networking events, they already have it in their head, like, they don't really need this or whatever. A lot of people, they act like, what should I say? They're not humble when it comes to networking. So what kind of attitude do you say when one is going to a networking event? What kind of attitude should they have?
I think the first thing actually would be from whomever is putting the networking event together. A proper networking event would actually include a host or hostess, a MC, someone that can kind of direct the flow of how the event is supposed to take place. So there would, always be like a 5-minute introduction, and maybe something that would take place in the middle that would kind of, create that drive, or that traffic that you're looking for. Okay, this is the time where we come together, we mix and mingle, and we share, ideas, or we can share concepts, and you kind of highlight some of the people that are in the room, so that everyone kind of gets an idea that, okay, we have, media coverage here, we have, music execs, we have, promoters, we have so many different things in this room. And I think that it will be great for everyone to kind of take advantage of the opportunity that everyone is in this room right now, to kind of get familiar with each other.
Okay, and any like last words or things you would want to say for people watching this and probably need advice when it comes to networking?
I would just say that when you're going out with an attitude for networking, and this is just to touch on what you were, asking, lastly, is that you go out with a positive attitude. You don't go out really with any pre pre notion of what you think should happen, or someone in the room should just give you a signing bonus or anything like that. I think you go out with an open mind as to getting additional information, because sometimes even when you have your stuff together, there's still maybe a piece that you're missing, or some additional knowledge that you can always use to help build on what you already have.
So, when it comes to branding, what are the first steps that you suggest for branding?
I suggest when you're looking at branding yourself or your business, or a platform that you're working with, you definitely need to identify what it is, your overall goal of what it is that you're trying to do. So, so many times we get caught up in, trying to provide so many different services or so many different things under the umbrella that we don't significantly brand ourselves or our business. So the first step would be to identify the main focus of what it is that your business or your brand represents. Then the second thing would be to actually create an identifying mark, which is more commonly known as a logo, and then getting that trademarked, and making sure that everything again is solid, and that it represents you in the best light. So it definitely needs to be, a clear and concise. You don't want to, send mixed messages with your logo. So your logo should be, what's going to be clearly identified, whether if the name is mentioned or not. When people see that logo, they understand what business or what services or what product you provide.
Okay, so do you have any, how should I say it, any like tools or layout for branding? Like when I say that, I mean like business cards, photo shoots. How would you say, like, well, let's say for like musicians, because I know everyone's branding is different.
Mm-hmm.
So like for musicians, for instance, since there's a lot, what would you say for like a musician to brand? Like what kind of tools should they have?
I think the first thing for musicians is going to be definitely the category or the type of music that they do. Again, a lot of musicians even kind of get caught in that whirlwind when they're first starting, to try to show that they're versatile by doing so many different genres of music. But realistically, the better way for an artist to brand themselves is to do what's really true to themselves and what's true to their heart. Music is always felt, before it's even heard. So if you can't get anyone to feel your music, then typically you're just kind of repeating words that everyone else has repeated, or anything. Someone can feel like, oh, I can do that. That's everybody's doing that. So it's kind of like making sure that they can tie their emotions and their feelings and themselves into their product. The second thing is, even outside of that, however, they have to be open-minded that they're not making music that they like. They're making music that the public likes. So it's a hard balance sometimes for some musicians, because they're so talented and they can create so much music, but it doesn't really connect or it doesn't resonate. So just being able to really go into a studio, or go into wherever they feel comfortable writing and developing music at, just kind of going there and really honing in on their feelings and who they are as a person.
What kind of advice would you give for branding if somebody just came into the business and was completely lost on how to brand themselves?
I think it would be the same step for anyone. If you're starting a business, if you're an artist, if you have a product that you've created, I think that the most important thing is to just make sure that what it is that you're about to create or do, it actually resonates with who you are, because this is something that you're going to be doing for some time. You're going to be investing a lot of money, a lot of energy, a lot of talent. Again, you're going to be networking. You're going to have to speak to this product. You're going to have to sell it. So you have to be able to sell it. And the best way to sell something is when it's near and dear to you. So that would definitely be my first step is, don't do something because you feel like everyone else is doing it and it's, money to be made there or things like that. I think it's just best to find something truly that interests you and that you really love and you're passionate about, because you're going to be spending a lot of time with
networking and branding goes hand in hand, would you say?
Yes,
okay,
definitely.
So it definitely goes hand in hand. So how would you suggest someone network and brand? Like how do you suggest someone incorporate those two hand in hand?
Well, there's a few little steps in between there. So when you start with your branding, it then kind of moves into what we like to call like a campaign. So like your campaign is then developed around advertising, marketing strategy, and then that's kind of how it pours into the networking side. So although a lot of those terms are used like interchangeably, they really are a little bit separate, and they all kind of hone in on a specific, thing that you're looking for. But all in all, it's to ultimately meet the end result. So after you do your branding and you come up with your logo and you're starting to, kind of become one with this whole project, then that's when you would start running your campaign, which means that you will be focusing on like whatever your lead target item is. So if you're doing a product and you have a makeup line, you would then try to hone in on that one target item. So it wouldn't be that you would do maybe the whole makeup kit unless it's literally going to be classified as a kit at all times. If it's a lipstick, you got lipstick, foundation, powders, brushes. You would then try to figure out which product do you feel that would best connect with the public, and that's what your campaign would be built off of. From there, you would then, come up with products, samples, items for sellers, different things like that, and then that goes into your marketing and your marketing strategy, which is then kind of based around the demographics in which you attract from your campaign and from your brand. And then that's kind of what then will ultimately get you to what networking events and what networking circles you should play in.
For people that wants to keep up with you or want more marketing strategies, where can they find you at?
You can find me on Instagram at IntheNikofTime 23_ IntheNikofTime ENT Nick of Time Marketing. And you're watching Ruby Lou TV with In the Nick of Time.